Bold, daring, unpredictable. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. with Robert Vaughn and David McCallum. Friday at 8:30, 7:30 Central Time on NBC.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners. Dan Slott, welcome back to Word Balloon. I've provided you with the Mr. Negative background on my part because I've been enjoying Spider-Man Brand New Day.
John, it is a pleasure to see you, and so soon from our talk at Mohegan Sun at Terrificon. I just really wanted to pop in really quick and thank the viewership. I came on last time on Word Balloon to tell people I wanted to keep doing Spectacular Spider-Man. And if you were a fan of my work and you liked the book, that it wasn't enough to go pick it up off the stands, that you had to go to the store and tell your retailer, please add this to my pull list. Because the way retailers decide how much they order of each thing, a lot of times it isn't even how much they sold off the rack. It's if they have a strong pull list, they know automatically to order X amount plus. So putting things on the way all sales work nowadays is your issue 1 is way up here. And then no matter what, because retailers have to guess based on how everything sells, your issue 2 is down here. And then your 3, and then your 4, and then it plateaus out. That's every sale. So if you don't do well on your first issue, you're immediately screwed. But worse, because we do all these things to help the first issue and people want the first issue, it's the second and the third. If you can slow down that chart, if you can have a strong number 2 and a strong number 3, you plateau up here and your book stays safe. So we're in a market now where a lot of these books are only guaranteed for 5 issues. And you don't want to make a retailer mad. You don't want to tell them that, oh, this is an ongoing series and it's going to go to 10. Because chances are most series will only go to 5 and stop because of that and where the market is now. So You're doing the retailer a service by saying this is 1 out of 5. I was saying to Marvel, this is Spectacular Spider-Man. This is a satellite book off of the legacy book. They always do well. If you don't tell them 1 out of 5, we're going to start higher, we'll have a better chart, and we'll last longer. And their take was, no, this is the way everything is. It's only fair. And but thanks to people coming out and doing this, we beat the curse. Yeah. So now, please don't remove it from your pull list. If I'm not asking you to buy a book you don't enjoy, I'm saying if you like it, please continue to keep it on your pull list, and that will continue a healthy run for the book. I would like to do this as long as humanly possible because I love writing Spider-Man. It is a joy. I think by next year, by my birthday, I will have written Spider-Man a quarter of my life.
Wow.
Which is
wow.
Yeah. When you add up all the months together, it's a quarter of my life. And I couldn't be happier because he is my favorite character in all of fiction. I love Spider-Man more than anything. I don't care if you're someone who doesn't like my Spider-Man. I don't care. Like, you're from Chicago. You remember when MJ started playing baseball instead of
No,
basketball?
Oh,
When
you,
he
Michael. Yeah, I thought you
Mike,
were talking
yeah.
Mary Jane.
Oh
But
no, I'm
Mike, of
talking
course.
Chicago now.
Yeah. I'm
MJ.
sorry. Of
When
course
I
I do.
say
I was
MJ to
covering.
someone from Chicago,
I was working at my sports radio station when all that was happening.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you remember how happy he looked? His face
Oh yeah.
whenever they showed him, like even hitting a single, and you're like, "That's not your
Yes.
game. That's not your sport." And my take is, "Screw you! Look how happy he is." I'm not saying I'm the Michael Jordan of anything. I'm just saying I'm the Michael Jordan of baseball. I'm,
Did
I'm
you?
the I'm the happy guy. I don't care if you're like, but I loved your Silver Surfer. Do more of that. No, I'm running the hey Spider-Man. Woo! It just makes me happy. Makes me
Did you feel like you needed to recharge because you were really on? Were you on 3 issues a month? And if you were, for how long?
I was on when they started Brand New Day, which was the
Right.
first issue of that was January 2008.
Oh my God.
I was on that book for we were putting out a book 3 times a month, and there's four of
Right.
us.
Right.
Um,
Name them.
yeah, it was me, Mark Guggenheim, Bob Gale, and Zeb Wells. And there was a point early on in some of the retreats where we're working, then the book comes out. And the 4 issues before us of One More Day were so divisive. And we were Brand New Day, the team that came after it. That there were a lot of fans out there who were just like coming at us full force and angry. Like they were mad at the people who lived in the house. And when those other people moved and new people moved into the house, they were still mad at the people who lived in the house. And if you're Bob Gale, if you're Mr. Back to the Future, if you don't need this. Bob stayed on to be nice because he liked working with us. But there's a point where Bob's like, yeah, I'm Bob Gale. I don't need this. uh, I can't tell you how much fun it was to work with D-Man, who did the entire Back to the Future trilogy, Bob frickin' Gale. And all the wonderful stories I now have of, hanging out with Bob Gale, most of which I can't tell.
Sure.
Because they're just, oh boy. But that was like a bright spot in my life. But he didn't need like Chip Zdarsky has gone on record, like on some podcast, where he said he would never work on the Amazing Spider-Man book, the lead book, because the fan base is so crazy. So yeah, I'm fine because all it takes to wipe away the meanness of the internet is just go to one show or one signing, and it's all these people in the real world just going, oh man, we love the book, and talking to you about the characters and the stories, and that you can see they're really invested in it, and you're like, okay, I'm doing it for that guy. I'm doing it for mainly, but I'd be lying if I say I'm doing it for me. I'm writing the stories I would want to read as a kid. Um, but yeah, so we shut off Bob and we shut off Zeb pretty quickly. Zeb would come back and you could just look at the credits and see who's writing the stories. So at one point we were like, Steve Wacker was like, we need more blood. So we had a phase 2 of Brand New Day. And around that time, Mark Guggenheim was offered a really cool assignment somewhere else. And he's like, I'm going to do the cool assignment. Like, I understand. And that is a very cool assignment. So I was the only holder on. I was the guy, like, my take was, you put me on Spider-Man. I am like, I am never letting go. So even though it was like 3 times a month, and at times when you were in the hot seat, especially when we did something like New Ways to Die, which was our first 6-part arc, because normally we did 3-issue arcs. or a two-parter or a one-parter, and we all had it mapped out where you're grabbing the baton and passing it along. But when we did New Ways to Die, which was at that time our best reviewed thing, like the thing that got fans excited, we did a 6-part story, and for that, and the first issue and the last issue were oversized. So that had to come out at like, oh my God, like the first oversized issue came out the end of 1 month, and then there was 3 issues, and then the last 3. So like that's nonsense to do that. That could have killed me, but we got through that, and then that kind of became a regular thing. Like, let's do more 6-issue arcs. The fans were really responding. But at that point, we brought in 3 new writers, which brought in Mark Waid and Joe Kelly, and I am blanking on the third.
No, I can't think of it either.
It could have been bringing back Zeb Wells again. He could have been gone for so long and then come back. Or I know Fred Van Lente and Brian Reed did a lot of stuff with us, but I'm blanking on who the 4 were. But there's 4 of us, and that went on. So we did that for like 3 or 4 years, and then it was burning out the second wave. And I went to Steve Wacker and I went like, can I take you to lunch? I want to pitch something to you. Because I knew when we went down to 2 issues a month, Marvel still wanted the income from 3 Spider-Man, that we were going to do our first satellite book again. It was going to be called Avenging Spider-Man. And
yeah, Jason wrote that for at least the first arc.
No, that was Zeb. Zeb and
it was Zeb, excuse me.
And Joe Madureira was the
Joe Mad
was the big pull. Yeah.
Sure.
Gorgeous. And
yeah.
But I went and I made my pitch because at the time Joe Kelly he was doing great storylines. He was doing American Son. He did this big Craven storyline. Everything I saw, he did. Oh, those Rhino stories that Joe Kelly told during Brand New Day were gorgeous. They were fantastic. So like I looked at that and I went, Joe Kelly, I think, is hitting the ball the best in Wave 2. So I figured when they went down to 1 writer for Amazing, I figured it was either going to be Joe Kelly or they were going to break out of the Brand New Day team and like get Matt Fraction or Ed Brubaker or like some big heavy hitter. I thought those were the only 2 options. So I made a play to be the guy that jumped onto the Avenging Spider-Man lifeboat because I wanted to keep writing Spider-Man. And the idea of writing Spider-Man once a month was like, that was like a foot massage, man. That was like a spa day after 3 times a month. It burns you out. And I was the guy who was there from the beginning. So when I made the pitch, at the end of the pitch, I told him all the storylines I wanted to do, all these things, and Steve said, no, you're not going to be on Avenging. And I thought that was it. I thought my time on Spider-Man was over. And then Steve went, no, I want you on the lead book. What? Like, what? What? So yeah, that was, and then from there it was 2 times a month.
Okay,
but it was 2 times a month.
Yeah,
for almost like 10 years.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, and I write Marvel style, so that's plot script. So that's 1 week you're plotting, 1 week you're scripting, 1 week you're plotting, 1 week you're scripting. And good luck to 5th weeks. You don't have it free because you're working with multiple artists to keep the book on track. So a lot of times you're writing 3 storylines at 3 different parts, like chapter 2 of the first story and chapter 1 of the second and chapter 4 of the third. And you're juggling 3 timelines in your head and 3 different artists. It was, what was fun was once I did leave, Joe Kelly didn't make the call, but like both Nick Spencer and Zeb reached out to me and went, how do you do this?
Yeah,
this is a crazy way to do a comic book. How do you keep it all straight? How do you not go crazy? So I did that for My answer usually was anytime I went over 3 books a month, I begged and said, "Can my buddy Chris Gage script me on on the third or fourth book, or I will die."
Yeah.
So yeah, so Chris ended up during my tenure, he scripted something like 14% of my stories.
Yeah.
Or I would have died. So
Dan,
thank you, Chris
honestly,
Gage.
that bi-monthly or bi-weekly schedule, I think burnt down a lot of people at both companies. And I mean, I know it did at DC, and I think I think it's one of the factors that drove Ed away, Brubaker and everything,
Uh
and made. I mean, I know he wanted to do creator own stuff, and we're all
yeah.
thrilled, but I also think it kind of
It,
it accelerated, I think, him out of there.
you know how like you see presidential photos like young Obama, old Obama. That's this was not so white. Uh, it was
I remember.
it you could see it like these streaks of white appearing in my beard, and it was all Spider-Man. And there was a point near the end because I was also doing Silver Surfer with Mike Allred, and I was like losing it because now I'm no matter what I'm up to 3 books a month at minimum. Um, so I asked like, can I go down to like from 24 issues a year to 18? And Marvel said yes for like the last year or so. And that's when Spider-Man Deadpool started because they wanted the money. So like, okay, this is going down to 18. Here's a new Spider-Man related book. That's the way it always works. So yes, that was the workload. It was kind of crazy. And then throughout all of that, grand total, I did 10 and a half years on Spidey. And during that time, yes, like you and me and everybody else, I get Christmas and Thanksgiving off and New Year's. Like that's obvious. But outside of that, I had no vacations for during 10 and a half years. Steve Lacker, he purposely scheduled one vacation for me, a week off in the middle of Spider Island. Because he could see I was beginning to like burn out. Um, so I got on a plane. I visited my best friend from high school. We played video games all week, and we went to the Doctor Who exhibit, and we saw David Tennant on his West End Shakespeare show, and I was like, came back a new man, and then went back in. But once we had, I could see on the schedule that Spider-Man 800, Amazing 800, was coming up. I had written just out of luck in the Brand New Day team of like 8 writers. I had written 600. And then when
I remember that.
I was on Brand New Day, not big time by myself. I wrote 700, which launched Superior.
Yep.
And when I saw 800 coming up, I was like, I've written 600, 700, and 800. I think it's time to step down. So I I told Marvel a year ahead of 800. There was also another hiccup. There was like I saw that 800 was coming, and also I'm not going to tell you which story, but Charles Dickens had this thing where every time he introduced a new character, like the things you read when you read a Charles Dickens novel, they're actually a compilation of all these chapters he did for magazines.
Yep.
So he wrote it like a comic book. He wrote it
Like a
like
comic, yeah.
yeah,
Monthly.
and then it's then all of like Oliver Twist or you know uh,
Nicholas Nickleby. Yeah.
Nicholas Nickleby. I love Nicholas Nickleby, and they perform Romeo and Juliet, and they give it the happy ending. And anyway, um, so, uh, but like it's all collected. He would lose track from month to month if he had killed the character or written them out. So he had a friend make him these little dolls, and he put them on his shelf near a wastebasket. And whenever he wrote a character out, he knocked them into the wastebasket. And that way he could go, there you go. Okay. I won't I won't screw up and have that character show up again. There was a point right around the time where I was like, oh, 800's coming. Should I take a break? And I realized I had, over the course of 10 and a half years, I had written this one story twice. I did the exact same setup and there's differences, but when you stand back and look at it, you're like, oh no, I've put Spider-Man in the same trap, the same cliffhanger, and I gave him like the same, close to the same solution of how to survive. Okay, I've been doing too much. I need to stop. That was one factor. The one story I repeated by mistake. Then 800 was coming up, and also multiple Marvel writers had approached me and said, "Get off the book." Like, I've always wanted to work at Marvel. I've always wanted to work on Spider-Man, and you are hogging the plate. And I was like, wow. Okay. And it was multiple guys who'd kind of said that to me. So between those three things, I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready. And Marvel was really nice that I told them I wanted to leave at 8:01. And they were like, why 8:01? And I'm like, well, 800 is going to be the fireworks. 800 is going to be, pull out all the stops, Spider-Man versus Carnage and the Green Goblin, and it's going to be huge. Characters going to die, and big things are going to happen, and explosions. And then I want to go out on my version of the kid who collects Spider-Man. Like, I want to go out on my story that's grounded and with a lot of heart, and is my final, it's my statement on this is what Spider-Man means to me. And they hated that because it was going to, they knew it was going to, once I leave, whoever comes on, they were going to make it a new number one.
Okay.
That's just basic.
Sure.
You're going to do that. But it meant it was really going to screw up the legacy numbering if I'd leave on 8:01, like, blah. Like, boy, did that screw up legacy numbering for everyone. And I'm like, I don't care. And they were really cool about it. So they were like, okay, you can leave on 8:01. There was a point where, in the entirety of that 10 and a half years, where, the powers that be, especially around Marvel now, we're like, let's shake it up. Let's put everyone on different books. And then people are like, Dan, what book do you want to be on? I'd be like, Spider-Man. You're on Spider-Man. I know. I worked hard to get here, and I have clung on, and I do not want to uncling. And that was when, like, a lot of guys were like, yeah, I want to write Spider-Man. If we're all switching books, I want to write Spider-Man. But there, I don't know if you remember Marvel Now, they had the red strip on the bottom.
Go on.
And if a book went to a second printing, that red strip turned blue. And if a book
I didn't remember that. Hilarious. Go on.
And if a book went to a third printing, that way they didn't have to keep commissioning variant covers. The strip went green. We're having this, they wanted me to come up and talk about stuff. And some of the bigwigs were talking about, well, what if we put Slott on this, or what if we put Slott on that? Would that make them happy? Or, because Spider-Man was doing great, the numbers were great, and they were making a ton. So they were happy with the trajectory of the book and where it was selling and everything. So, like, why rock the boat? That's what I was hoping on too. But I think one of the things that saved me was these guys were in the middle of arguing stuff. And they had to take time to do a meeting because the design department had to agree on a color to make the strip for another issue of Spider-Man, because no book had gone back to press that many times since they started Marvel Now.
For a fourth printing or whatever? Or?
Yeah, they needed to know what comes after green? Like we haven't had to do it yet, but we got to put this color on a lot of Spider-Man books. And then they looked at the sales again, and I was up in the office after that meeting for a different reason. And Axel called me in and went, because he was the one who was kind of going, maybe you could try another book. And after that meeting with the putting the gold strip on everything, he went, you stay on Spider-Man as long as you want.
Cool.
you tell us when you want to leave.
Wow.
Which
That's a
was
nice place.
that was a really nice, place to be. And I was very touched by that. So, but yeah, that was like me and Umberto and me and Giuseppe and me and Ryan Stegman. Uh, I was a very lucky bastard to work
Yeah,
with those
man.
guys. Yeah.
Well, and I would say the same. Really, truly, I love Marcus Toe. Is that who's drawing your?
Marcus Doe is gorgeous on
Yeah,
Spectacular Spider-Man.
yeah. It really is, man. I like the style.
If you look at like issue 3, yeah, issue 3 is the Punisher helicopter sequence with all the webbing.
Yes, yes.
That is the most cinematic thing I've ever worked on, and you can't just hold that up to the story. You can't just hold that up to the plot. You go, we gave this to Marcus Toe, and Marcus Toe gave us back this. And you watch, that could be a movie.
Um.
It just, all the
Well,
way.
and also,
Yeah.
well, forgive me. It also, it reminded me when Fraction came on Iron Man. It was right after Iron Man 2, and it really felt like the next day. And obviously, the branding of Spectacular Spider-Man as Brand New Day, it does feel like it's the next day. There's the Punisher, just like he was in the movie, and we'll get into the Punisher's characterization, but also Marcus's art. It kind of reminds me, in a good way, of Terry Dodson, and it's
Oh
got
yeah.
that kind of feel, I think,
Um,
to it.
the thing I like about it is how he moves the characters, how he sets the stage, how he shows the action. It's all very fluid. Um, it, it's really good. I'm very lucky to be working with Marcus Tau.
And
Um,
also the I'm sorry, please, if
oh
you had
no, no.
another thought about Marcus, I was going to say, for truly, Mr. Negative of your villains is probably one of my favorites that you created, and it's great to
Co
see him back. And
co-created.
I'm sorry, yeah, forgive me. Who was the artist that co-created it with you? Or
Phil
the other?
Jimenez. Phil Jimenez
Right.
drew him talking like on a video screen in Swing Shift, so he gets the credit. Um, Steve McNiven did the first 3-issue arc where you get to see him move around, how he acts, how he looks, how he deals with his inner demons. Um, and there have been so many other guys who've come on and done really good Mr. Negative stories. We did a done in one with Michael Lark, where oh my god, it just looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it's really Phil and it's Steve
That's cool.
who brought the character to life.
That's
Um,
great.
yeah, it's like it feels weird. Like you don't know. Like, can you give Steve Ditko credit for co-creating Mary Jane, even though she's behind of Oz? You know, there's a weird kind of and now everyone's like arguing about Roy Thomas and Wolverine, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
who gets the credit, who gets what. I'm more than happy to go. Yeah, it's me and Phil and Steve for that. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Where
Um,
did where did the idea though come from on Mr. Negative?
um, when we did our first meeting for Brand New Day, we were given one of the challenges we were given was, let's take all of Spider-Man's most popular characters, all of the enemies, all the villains, the rogues gallery, and let's put them in a box for 6 months. And not only can you not use them, we're going to ban the rest of the Marvel Universe from using them because too many people have been jobbing the spider villains. There was like one magic month, a couple months before Brand New Day, where 4 different books had cold opens where their heroes jobbed the Rhino, and it all came out like in like a 1 month period. Oh, and it started getting silly. So it was like, here's the daughters of the dragon, totally poning the rhino. And you're just like, here's Punisher poning him and laughing at him while he pees on him. Like everybody was just jobbing the rhino. And they're like, how do you tell a good rhino story after that? And the answer was, you put him in a box, you leave him alone for 6 months till everyone forgets. Then you bring in Joe Kelly, and Joe Kelly tells a killer rhino story. And now the rhino's awesome. So that was our goal. They had said 6 months you can't use spider villains. You must create all new spider villains. So that was fun. So I went in with a bunch of guys. I went in with Mr. Negative and Screwball and Paper Doll and yeah, Mr. Negative hit hard. So that was great, because how do you not, with like Steve McNiven drawing some of those opening scenes. Yeah, I was blessed. And
well,
then
the look. Go ahead. No.
oh
Keep
no,
going.
but and then it's only gotten better, because he became one of the main faces of the PS4 Spider-Man game, which is the biggest selling PlayStation game of all time. So like, there's a whole generation of fans that met Spider-Man through that video game that think that Mr. Negative is a total badass. Because you got to play him, you got to play against him, you got to see him on your screen. You look, oh my god, that level's hard, and blah blah blah.
He's got cool powers. He the whole thing of that kind of Bruce Gordon Eclipso thing where he's he lit, or Harvey as well, but even more so, it feels more like Eclipso than Two-Face, even though he's split down the middle as he is. And of course, as you and I know, the Charon from Star Trek. Let that be your last battlefield. Is that an
Absolutely,
inspiration?
the Gorshin race.
Yes.
Yeah, I was so mad that Star Trek Strange New Worlds did an entire black and white episode, and I'm like, these guys are sitting there, they're just sitting. Why you're going to do an all black and white episode and not use the Charon? Are you mad? That would have been awesome.
But no, I was going to say, I do like the fact, I keep interrupting you. I apologize. That his daytime thing, that Aunt May is working for him, and he's doing good, and is sincere about it, but also has his negative side, obviously.
And it immediately gave a cool thing for Aunt May to be doing in the world of Brand New Day. And they picked up on it in the movies. So the Feast Center is a thing in the Tom Holland universe. And it blows my mind whenever it shows up, even in tiny ways, like in the No Way Home, it's a feast truck that they have the lizard in. It's like, or you're playing like one of the Lego Marvel games of New York, and you can just stop in at the Feast Center. You're like, oh, that's cool. I've co-created geography in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
And it's linked to Mr. Negative. One of the dumbest things I did was I closed the Feast Center down in the book when Mr. Negative was revealed to be Martin Lee. And then for a while, Cardiac was running it in secret, and the name had changed to the Heart Foundation, and HEART stood for something. And then it kind of became the Uncle Ben Foundation during Worldwide, when Peter had all this money. But it was God Bless You, Nick Spencer, who resurrected it and went, no, it's Feast. Everyone knows it is Feast. It's been in the movies. Go to the thing everyone knows. And I'm like, I will leave it that way forever. So that's where Spider Boy comes out of. Spider Boy, his mom works at Feast. So I'm like, yeah, I'll happily have Feast be part of the Spider-Man world, to be the really depressing version of the Coffee Bean. It's like, come here and help homeless people.
But Peter's teaching there now, part-time, and I like the idea too that he goes to May and says, I thought I was going to be paid. No, I told you this is going to be rewarding, not paid.
Yeah, that's one of the fun things, is to find things for Peter to do, and also to make it feel new, even though we're back in Brand New Day era. So it's like, what's something Peter could do? He could teach it. You know, they have training in the name. It's the Food Emergency Aid Shelter and Trading. So I was like, oh, he could teach a class in photography or this or that. And I went, computers, great, boom. And that feels right. You could see like a missing week of Brand New Day. And that's when Peter was teaching at Feast. Um, One of the fun things that we've announced about Spectacular is with Spectacular Spider-Man, it's going to keep moving forward. So we did our Brand New Day arc. The next arc, we're jumping to Big Time. And we're now in the Big Time era with Horizon Labs and Peter getting different suits and all kinds of fun stuff. Um, and eventually maybe we'll get to Worldwide, and maybe we'll get to Fall of Parker, and like we could do different arcs. Like there's a status quo in Fall of Parker that I love, and it was weird. Like even though I knew I was leaving the book, I kept generating things like if I was staying on, like here's where I'm moving Peter to now. And I thought I left him in a good place for Nick with, I love this status quo, where the status quo is, because the best supporting cast is at the Bugle, but you can't keep
Yes.
having Peter just running around taking photos, or it gets old. So it was finding something for him to do at the Bugle that wasn't taking photos and that worked with his world. So suddenly I went, oh, the Sunday supplement that comes out always has a science section. Pete will edit the science section of the Daily Bugle. Now you get Peter dealing with science and Peter at the Daily Bugle. Oh, and you're like, oh, that's a perfect place for him to be. And as he goes to write up stories about some new scientific discovery, a Spider-Man story happens. Or while he's at the Bugle working on the thing, everyone's in that corner talking about this new crime going on that's on the front page. You could get to any story from this nexus. And I was like, that's such a good setup. And Nick immediately trashed it. So I was like, if we get to Fall of Parker, I could see myself like stretching Marvel time and doing like 2 or 3 arcs there if you'll let me, because I'd love that setup. Like there was one we burned off in Brand New Day. I was kind of, if our sales were stronger, I would stay in Brand New Day, because there was this one status quo I loved where it was Peter Parker helping his friend Carly Cooper in who's a police crime expert, CSI person, where they bring him in as the crime scene photographer. And I'm like, that's a great setup. You could do so many stories from there about how what gets Peter into the adventure is Spider-Man. And we just blew right past that. We did that for like 1 arc. And then we're like, what were we doing? That was a great setup. So if we do a loop, well, actually, no, we're the goal, my long-term goal for Spec is we keep doing these stories in different eras, getting closer and closer to the present. And one of the things you're going to see, like you're going to see it at the end of issue 5, there's a new hero created. And at the top of 6, there's a new villain created. And we've beefed up supporting cast members. So you've gotten Yuri Watanabe in a stronger role. And we've seen a lot more of Robbie Robertson. And we've introduced characters that we could come back to again. We have a disgraced cop that Mr. Negative, he was like the best cop on the force, but Mr. Negative corrupted him. Like that was against his will. And that's what ruined his record. All these things he was doing for Mr. Negative, and then he's out on his ass. Well, you tell me a cop that had a perfect cop who had their life ruined by a supervillain in Spider-Man's world, that's a private eye in the next issue. And now I've got a private eye I care about, who's a friend of Spider-Man and really wants to crack this case and wants to take down every supervillain. Now I'm like, that's cool. So we've been setting up this supporting cast that doesn't step on any toes. and it's only going to grow. Like we also showed, hey, you remember how we told you the world forgot about Spider-Boy? Well, here's Bailey Briggs before he became Spider-Boy and his mom at the Feast Center.
Yep.
And now as we get into big time, we're getting to the era where he should turn into Spider-Boy. So you're going to see way more of this continuity all coming together. And when we get to the present, like the original Spectacular Spider-Man books, we'll have this alternate supporting cast that we can use without stepping on the toes of whoever's working on Amazing. We'll have all our Gene DeWolfs and our Spots and our Carrions and, Cloak and Daggers. We'll have, White Tigers. We'll have all those, like when you're reading Spectacular Spider-Man, you got all that. You also got like Lightmaster and all these different villains. You're going to get this alternate Spider-Man world that can tell these grounded Spider-Man stories without stepping on Amazing's toes. We are going to bring back in issue 6, we are going to bring back a long time, infrequently used favorite supporting cast character of Spider-Man's, of Peter Parker's world, who has vanished for like decades. But when they were around, people loved this character. And they're going to come back. I'm really excited. And what they're going to be doing in Spider-Man's world will help Peter get into new stories. Even though he's off at Horizon doing other stuff, but this character will continue on. And we kind of know where that character's arc is going. And that character also brings with them another supporting Spider-Man cast character that I know I love, but I can see people going, oh, no, don't bring that character back. And I'm like, tough. I love that character. And I want to see that character again. And that character naturally is the baggage that comes with the other character. So we're bringing back stuff. We're bringing back all this DNA of Spider-Man that's been around for 65 years. And sometimes your favorite pieces just kind of go on little virtual ice flows and they vanish. Spectacular Spider-Man is a book where they can come back and have new lives and what's happening to them now. This is going to be a place where if you're a Spider-Man fan, you will just be soaking in happy waters. You'll just be like, oh, give me more, put more bubbles in the bath. I am loving this. Just give me more Spider-Man. Give me more of Spider-Man's world and more geography like we saw with the Feast Center and this. You're going to get a richer, better, fuller Spider-Man world with more toys.
And if it's been a while, you're there and you're doing a great job, I think, of reintroducing ideas and characters. And I loved, much like the Brand New Day movie in the first arc, there's the Kingpin, and that's great. Or the meeting of all the other crime bosses. And also, I really like how realistic Marcus has made Hammerhead and the Owl and some of these other guys. That, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the extremes that Romita, would put on these guys in the classic days. But it's like, all right, Hammerhead now, it's a little more of a normal shape. For
I know
example.
you do Hammerhead wrong, he sneezes, and you got a Dick Tracy villain.
For me, for real, absolutely, man. The brow,
so, yeah. So no, I'm with you. I had a scene where like one of my notes was like, because he'll turn in breakdowns, and I'll go, oh, here's a note. Because we had this bit where they're all angry. I'm like, we don't have a scene really where Hammerhead uses his hammerhead and he's upset. Can you have him take that bottle and smash it against his own head? Because he's like, yeah, like a show of force. And I'm like, okay, that's fun. That's cool.
And even it seems like the Kingpin is on a good GLP, and he's still big, but he's not obese anymore. Now he's just big.
Well, to be fair, we sent Marcus reference because we are weaving through continuity, and
of course.
Where Kingpin is at the beginning of Spectacular Spider-Man Brand New Day #1, he's right after this specific Ed Brubaker arc of Daredevil, where he's made a deal with Daredevil going, I will leave the country and never come back. So this is literally the scene where he's in the Fist Tower packing, and he's got his passport and his money and his stuff. And the last thing he's going to take is this thing, the Lexicon of Crime. Woo! Yeah, and you also get to build. You get to build shit. You get to go. Oh, look, here's our Darkhold. Here's our thing. And that totally. I'm trying to tell these more grounded Spider-Man stories, but at the same time, that's allowed. That's like the Lemurian tablets. It's part of Spider-Man lore. You can, or the Wand of Watum, which is in a Spider-Man annual. Yeah, so true story. I get a call from Amy Pascal because they're working on Spider-Man No Way Home, and she knew that we were using the spot on in Across the Spider-Verse.
Amy Pascal, for people who don't know, head of Sony Pictures, basically, and obviously in charge of what they're doing with Spider-Man and everything. Keep going.
And she's like, they were thinking for a hot second of using the spot because they were doing all this stuff with portals in No Way Home.
Right.
And I was like, no, you're using the wrong thing. Because they were sending me a thing going, since we can't use the spot, here's all these other characters. Who should we use? And there was a character that was not a Spider-Man universe character that they were all happy because they thought they could use it the same way as the spot. And I was like, no. Forget. I said, okay, if you are going to use any character, here's the character you should use. And then I went, and also ignore that suggestion because what you should do is you should use an object to do what you want, not a supervillain. You should use an object. And if that device, does what you need it to do, you don't need the villain. You could give it to Ned. You could give it to the villain. You could give it to whoever you need to do the thing. This is my suggestion, and I suggest you use this device. And I was pushing hard for the Wand of Watum. And I was taking screen caps to show them how in Doctor Strange #1, the first Doctor Strange movie, they had Wong holding the Wand of Watum, that they'd already built the prop, that you already have the thing you need to do what you need. And what they took from that was Sling Ring. They beat me. But they took that advice and went, wait. If we do the sling, it's already built. We have Doctor Strange already here. We can give it to Ned. We just say Ned is magical, and that solved everything. So,
yeah.
Did I help Amy Pascal? Yes. Was I happy? No, because I wanted the Wand of Watum. It was right there. You can screen cap it, the Wand of Watum. But that's just me being a geek.
Well, that's all right. That's why people like your stories, Dan. I mean, come on,
But it's the fact that I didn't go to Sling Ring is why I am not an official Marvel consultant. And why I'm just someone who once in a blue moon they call and go, do you got an idea?
I don't think I asked you about and talking about all this. I don't think I asked you on the panel about Spider Noir. What'd you think?
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. A true story. They offered me Spider after Marcos Martin and I did the Spider-Man Superman the crossover book, which was one of the highlights of my life and is now my it's forever my cover.
Oh, that's awesome. You packed a lot of story in 5 pages, Dan.
Oh, so much. That's Marcos Martin. He's a genius. After that, they said, hey, how would you like to do some Spider Noir? How would you like to do some more? because people on the people on staff, the higher ups, really liked that story, and I went like, nah, I'm gonna stick with Spectacular, please. But yeah, there was a push for me to do some Spidey Noir. He's fun to do for 5 pages. I think I can get the voice right for 5 pages. I think the adjectiveless Spider-Man book showed I can't do him for more. I will, I will screw it up because I will not be focused on him. I'll be focused on the story, and then suddenly you get 5 pages in a row where he's called everyone doll, and you're just like, "I'll let it go." Just don't.
I like the difference that Nick brought in his portrayal. I mean, because I love the original David Hines story, and I'm a jerk. I forget the original artist's name, but he was in Rosemont.
But Fabrice,
Yes, thank
yeah,
you. And I can't remember Fabrice's last name, but I did meet Fabrice, and he was incredibly kind. And I'm like, shame on me, man. I've talked to David Hine before. You and I have to talk sometime about Spider Noir. But I heard Nick on a New York Times interview podcast, and he really put a lot of, I mean, everything was obvious, but he
he
really put a lot of thought in his characterization, and it absolutely worked for me.
he was really manic at times, and at times I was thinking about if you've ever seen Community, when
Sure.
when the character Abed goes too deep into Nicolas Cage movies. It kind of felt like that. He
Well,
was
but
he no, but he brought it. He earned that paycheck. He was like, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna Nicolas Cage the hell out of this. I am just
it
gonna grab on and hold on, and and that's, you see how high it's rated on Rotten Tomatoes with critics and fans, and that's why it's Nicholas. It's that he's magnetic. Um,
yes.
have you seen, what's the name of that movie he did with Pedro Pascal? It's got a really long name. It's super long name. Like
I
the
can't remember.
unbearable lightness of something
No,
in
that no,
unbearable
that was
talent.
yeah, but that was Unbearable Lightness's Being was Daniel Day Lewis, of
Day
course.
Lewis, no, but it's something like the incredibleness of unbearable talent or something. It's a really long title with Pedro. Everyone should go see it. You go rent it. It's amazing, and that's where Nicolas Cage plays himself. And
Well, that's kind of what he was doing as Spider
yeah,
Noir because
it
it was
it
everything about Nick Cage that is great. He could be manic, he could be funny, and he could be dramatic.
and it could
And
be
it was great.
self-deprecating, and
Yes.
it's like if you watch that movie, it's got that same energy.
Okay.
It's just in color, and
All
with
right.
Pedro Pascal. Um, it's really good.
Well, if you've never heard this interview that he did with the New York Times, if you have a subscription to the New York Times, you can still access it. It may be behind a paywall otherwise. It was free when it was, new. But man, it was great. I literally listened to it last night. And also now I'm interested to talk to Philip Kennedy
Mhm,
Johnson, who's going to do Spider-Man Midnight
mhm,
or
mhm,
Midnight
mhm.
Spider-Man, and because there's a little DNA of what Nick Cage did in terms of the spider was taking over his human self, and he had to. And I love the idea of him sitting and watching Edward G. Robinson movies and Bogart and Cagney to learn how to talk like a human being again. And that's why, like, it really worked. It worked for me.
Um, what was I going to say? Before I do lose you, because you got me jumping tracks to other
I'm
books.
sorry.
No, which is good. Getting excited for midnight, but like I'm over at the other place too.
Well, we're going to talk about it. I don't. I mean, unless your time is limited, I certainly want to
Oh no,
talk
no,
soon.
please. Yeah,
Good.
because we're I just sent in my I'm wrapping up the script for the epilogue to the Zod
That
story.
okay.
So my two issues, my one issue, first issue, blah, blah, blah. The prologue came out in Action Comics 1100. The first issue came out, my first issue, which is chapter 3, came out last week.
Yep.
My final issue left house, and that'll be out in September. And now I'm doing a 4-page epilogue in the giant Zod special. And the thing I'm excited about is like, okay, we've all gotten together, you know, Josh and Mark and Sophie and me, and we've all done this thing. And now we're all going back to our corners and coming out swinging. I am where we're going because already 2 covers are out now for the post Zod, and
Okay.
it's pretty obvious to see what we're doing. We're kind of rebranding Superman Unlimited. It's going to get far more of a focus on the 3 core members of the Superman family, which is Superman, Lois, and their son John. And John, to escape the legacy of the House of El and Superman, and to be his own man, has chosen his own superhero name, and he's forging ahead with his own path. It's kind of like what it would feel like to be born a Kennedy, or all your brothers are Baldwins or Helmsworths.
The responsibility of the name.
You want to be your own guy. You want to be your own person. You don't want to be in this shadow, and be stuck on this track to you're born and you must be Superman. No, be your own guy. Be your own hero. Follow your own passions. And how does Dad feel about that? So what we're getting for the next few issues are effectively Superman and Son, these Superman and Tomorrow Man team ups. And we are going hard of doing modern age Silver Age stories.
Interesting.
Like, used to have back in the day, Julie Schwartz or Carmine Infantino would get the guys to draw up the most effed up cover in the world, and then they hand it to the team and go, write this, get out of this. Flash would be like, I'm turning into a puppet. Superman would be like, I have to fight Giant Turtle Olsen.
Yes.
It's one thing after another. Superman, I get zapped by this ray, and now I must eat 1,000 hamburgers or die.
Classic, absolutely.
You just go like,
come on.
Yeah. So we're taking that kind of approach, and the first issue is really just setting up the worlds of here's Superman and Son. But the first issue of like where you get to see here's going to be a done in one story that's going to go what, and you can look up the cover now. It's online. John, can you put it up now? Can you put it up in the feed?
I will put it in post. I absolutely will put it in post. Yes.
It's this shot of this alien thing, this giant one-eyed 3-tentacled creature in Metropolis, and the entire MCU, the special unit, crime unit, they're all surrounding it like it's the end of Blues Brothers, all aiming guns at it. And Tomorrow Man has jumped into frame and goes, stop! Don't shoot that! That's my dad! Like, that's Superman! What? These are the things I live for. I'm praying they let us have the word balloon. Stop! Don't shoot! That's Superman.
Come on, yeah, man, absolutely. It calls for it.
There's a cover that'll be coming up in December, which I also love. Which you're just gonna have to wait to December. But I think that's the one where I might have broken The Office, where they go, yeah, you're not going to use word balloons on our covers. That's too old school. That's too, because I'll tell you offline what the word balloon was that made them go, yeah, no. But the feeling of that is going to be in the book. The feeling of that, like, Silver Age madness of anything could happen. Like, look, here's Jimmy Olsen as a beetle in ancient Rome.
Classic.
Yeah.
I went through the well, now they're $2 and $5 bins at Rosemont and picked up a lot of Silver Age and Bronze Age stuff. So come on, I know exactly what you're talking about.
They're They're
You know,
magical. Yeah.
they
Any
they really are. Well,
journey into mystery, or not
sure.
journey into mystery, the space adventure one.
Oh,
Uh
Journey into Space, obviously, right?
Strange
Strange
Adventures.
Adventures, certainly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and all that stuff where you just go, that cover
Giant
is
alien.
insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I bought actually I did buy a Strange Adventures now that I think of it as well. But I want to rewind a little bit
Yeah.
because let's talk about Tomorrow Man for a minute and the
Yeah.
design for his costume and everything. Who came up with it? Tell me about that whole thing.
The design for this and everything that is magical and wonderful in the world of Superman Unlimited is all due to the genius of Lucas Meyer. He is firing on every cylinder. He is just so excited to do this stuff, and he brings so much raw energy. And boy, does he nail the entire DCU. Um, I will murder anyone who tries to take him off the book and put him on anything else. I want to work on this book with Lucas Meyer till the end of time. He's fantastic. I don't know, like when we did, I don't know, you saw, because right before Zod, we had our the Super Sons battle,
I want to talk about that as well, of course, sir. Absolutely.
and there's like a magic panel in here that when I was writing it, it was like, oh, I can't wait to see Lucas draw this. And it was, there it is. This is, it's, I don't know if you can see this. It is,
Crypto,
um,
Batman.
it's Crypto, Batman, Lana Lang is Kryptonite Woman, and Lois flying the Supermobile with its giant fists, all saving everyone in Smallville. And the minute you just write, like, Crypto is firing heat vision beams next to Batman on the Bat cycle doing this, and you're like, I am so happy to be alive and doing this job, and someone is going to cut me a check for this. This is insane. Yeah.
Well, I want answers to a lot of what you just described because, and I'll get to Lana being Kryptonite Woman, which is fantastic. That's great, man. No, that really was a great, but also a tender moment, and that was again because um, the Zod story involves everybody, but Superboy of the past gets to
Oh,
meet Kara. Yeah, man, that's like Wally and Barry in that first issue of Rebirth where he just hugs her and he's like, oh, I got family. Thank God. That was
uh,
beautiful, man.
um,
He killed it.
y-
You're
uh,
crying. No,
not,
shut up. You're crying.
it's
Both
not
tearing
just
up.
that. It's that Rachel Stott, the artist, our guest artist, and my good
Oh,
friend Rachel
okay. That
Stott,
was Rachel who did that. Excuse me.
she nailed that.
My
Yeah,
God.
Lucas took 2 issues off for the Zods, and
Okay. Okay.
he'll be back. So we got a guest Zod artist. And it's Rachel, who I worked on with Fantastic Four, and I just love everything she does. Um, the when we're working on this, like the game master, the guy sitting in the big chair is Josh,
Right.
and Josh structured all the issues. Like we talked to
Okay.
him, we explained, could we fudge it a little this way or fudge it a little that way? Um, and usually in the service of, yeah, you've written this thing with all the characters being equal, but as we all work on our books, we're all like, well, I'd like to see what Tomorrow Man and Lois are doing, and Mark will be like, oh, and young Clark is doing what, and Sophie will be like, and Supergirl and her friends are, we all want to focus on our guys, but we all have to move the story.
Sure.
But you have a readership, and the readership, if they pick up an issue of Superman Unlimited, they want to see the Superman Unlimited. They pick up Supergirl, they want to see the Supergirl, and so on and so on.
Oh yeah.
Um, but then so like with the 2 issues I'm writing in Zod, this issue, the one that just came out, is the one where I had all these different items, all these different scenes, which had for every single character had to move the ball up the field
Sure.
and get them to where the next person needed them to be. So there's like, a comic book is 22 pages. I had about like 9 or 10 scenes, and you want them to be visual and you want them to be big, and but that's, imagine trying to tell, hey Dan, here's 9 scenes you have to do, and here's the real estate you have to play with is 22 pages, make it work.
Yeah.
That's a tough assignment. And in that, you look at it, and one of the things I'd always tell like my students when I was teaching, I taught a couple courses in how to write comics, is if you're working with these licensed characters, every time you approach them, ask, you need to ask the question, have they ever done this before? Because the first time you do something, it's so important. And it's so important to you that if you have a chance to write a first and you let that go by, shame on you. You know, even though these characters have been around for, 65 years for Marvel, and they've been around for even longer for DC.
80 plus, yeah.
Yeah, shame on you. There are still firsts. And if you are given one of these gems, don't look past it. And I looked at this and I went, wait a minute. I have to write a scene with Supergirl and young Clark because they need to be teamed up to do this thing later in the story. And I was like, this is different. She has never met young Clark. Her entire existence was, we're shipping you to be this little kid's protector. You're going to be little Kal-El's protector. This is the first time she's older than him. I was like, I can't walk away from this. This is the best meat on the bone on this issue. And I don't think any of the other guys realize this. I'm getting away with murder. I get to be the guy to do this first. I was so happy the minute I realized that, because I was looking at that like, there is so much about this that is amazing. There is one, she gets to live out her, so many of us, what is my purpose in life? She gets this. She gets this golden moment of, I actually get to live out my purpose. That's amazing. And the other thing is, at this point in his upbringing, Clark Kent hasn't met any living family from Krypton. He hasn't. I'm looking at that and I'm like, oh my God. There's no other Kryptonian he's really met who's family. And, when you're reading these comics, there's that point of view, especially if you're writing Superman, where you get annoyed because he's the sole survivor of Krypton. You're sold on that. Superman is the sole survivor of Krypton, but he's not. He's not, because he gets a cousin and Zod and the Phantom Zone guys and a horse and a cat and a dog and a monkey and a blah, 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 blah. Every fucking thing from Krypton survived. He's not the sole survivor. F that. But from the point of view of this Clark, he is.
Absolutely.
He doesn't know any of that yet. And I get to be the son of a bitch who gets to write the moment where he goes, I'm not the sole survivor. I have family. That was like, you're getting this list of 9 items. And the trick is, to be Terminator, sitting there, fixing your arm in that shitty apartment. And you look and you go, the person knocks on your door and they go, is that a dead cat in there? And your brain goes, yes, this is a dead cat. No, fuck off. And then but like, you look at those 9 things, and then you zoom in on that one and you go, yeah, gold. You've given me gold, you fools. I will run with this.
Well, and you got to fit together not only that moment, but also Supergirl's friend comes up with the tech to give them the kryptonite shield. And what a great, do it. Talk about that scene.
That's a Paul Kaminsky, editor Paul Kaminsky beat. because editor Paul Kaminsky was going, hey, he should be really suffering from the kryptonite. Kara's got this thing. You should have Kara. He said you should have Kara give that, the device to him, like they're
shield.
divers sharing a tank of oxygen.
Sure.
And I went, oh, that's good, Paul Kaminsky, editor of Superman. So I'm writing that, and I'm like, oh no, he's gonna hug her. He's gonna hug her. They're gonna share the field.
I'm doing this to share the shield with it. Yeah, sure you are.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure
I know you are.
It's
great, man.
Was so much fun. I'm really excited for people to see the new chapter, which I think will be chapter 6. I'm just trying 3, 4, 5, or 7. It's 6 or 7. It'll
your next chapter, you're saying.
My next chapter, I'm excited for you to see all the next chapters.
Because honestly,
oh my God.
I've seen this week's Josh's
Superman. You saw Superman. Josh's Superman.
Yeah, and it's great, and everyone's going to be really excited with the big turn that the story takes.
There's an excellent fight. There's a huge turn. He laid out a table and he ate his lunch.
I already emailed him, and I'm like, all right, you got to come on soon, and we got to talk about this.
Yeah,
because it really is it's a major.
That's the out of the whole Zod. If we haven't won you over yet, this one will make you go, well, now I'm all in, and I got to see how this ends.
Absolutely,
it really is the biggest punch in the whole Zod thing, and it's coming and Josh sets it up, tees it up, and executes it perfectly. So it's a great Superman. It's a great Superman moment. Now, on a greedy side, on a self-serving side, I can't wait for people to see my next chapter, because that's the one where when we're planning everything out and how everything has to work, I get to be the guy who go, hey, you just loaded me up with 9 scenes in a 22-page story. Here's what I want for my chapter 7. Because we have the short note is Superman does this impossible, Superman has this impossible task, which is what you always want for Superman. Superman must get this boulder up this impossible hill. Superman must do this thing. How on earth is Superman going to pull that off? And I was like, I want this to be the whole issue. Yes, I will set up this scene over here and that scene over here, but the meat in this sandwich, I want it to be this, and give me all the space in the world. And Josh was really cool about that. He went, that is a good Superman Unlimited chapter of this story. If you've been following Superman Unlimited, this pays off a ton, and you're just I'm happy with it. I don't know you write for yourself. This is another rule I tell my guys and gals when I'm teaching. I go, write for yourself. If you write for yourself, then at least one person will like your story. That and if you invest it with passion, hopefully others will come along for the ride. And the worst thing could be is if you write the thing and you don't like it. You got it done, you got it in, but you don't like it. No, you should always write so that whatever you're doing, you like it at the end of the day. So right now, like I'm in that zone of, I was struggling while I was writing it. I was liking it as it came together. We did the lettering notes, we did the tweaks and fixes, and now I'm like, and there you go. Now you send it out into the world, and you hope. But I'm very happy with it.
It's a great event. It really is, and all of you are really playing to your strengths and working well in concert with each other. And really, like, I hadn't been reading Sophie's book, and I read that in her first chapter, and I'm like, oh, these characters are cool. Everybody that girl is playing with.
How can you not love Princess Shark?
Absolutely.
It's Princess Shark.
Why not?
I like everything she's doing with Lena Luthor.
Yes.
Is fantastic, and It's a fun book.
Well, and Zod making the eradicatrix, I think is really. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you've been ignoring Superman, this is a great jumping on point. This event.
This is what it's like to work in a team. Like we were talking, Josh is like, I want to use the Eradicator in this. The Eradicator will serve Zod, and then I speak up in the Zoom and go, yes, but it can't be the Eradicator as we know him. And they're like, why? He's like, well, for starters, he's wearing the crest of the House of El. Bare minimum, we need to change the crest of the Eradicator to the House of Zod. And then Sophie goes, what if it's the Eradicatrix? And then we all go, ooh, that's good. Okay, we're all doing that. And you're like, eradicate. I have an Eradicatrix sequence in the next chapter, and I'm
in chapter 7. All right,
really excited. There's stuff I'm really excited for. I walked away from this going, I think what, and this is for me speaking. I walked away from this going, from my 2 chapters, going, I wish I had more space. If I had more space, one of the things I wanted to do was play up Natasha Irons.
God's daughter.
I didn't have the room for it. And I was kind of bummed. And then I went, well, I'm writing Superman Unlimited. And I'm like, and here's where Natasha Irons enters the cast. And I'm like,
sure.
I'm going to do so much cool stuff with Natasha Irons. I'm really excited. Along with Tomorrow Man and another Superman universe character we are teeing up. You will see in my next chapter of the Zod. He makes an appearance. I've already said I've given away too much.
That's half. It cuts out half the universe, everybody.
I know. I'm usually better at this than that. So there's stuff. We're building worlds. Like
all right, I'm going to make you rewind again though, and talk about Lana for a second and Kryptonite Woman. Yeah. Poor Lana, my God, Insect Queen, Superwoman, now Kryptonite Woman.
I would kill for her to be Insect Queen again.
Well, hello, Mr. Silver Age. You got to bring her back in some way.
Well, one of my hidden goals is, and this is going to sound hypocritical from Mr. Spider-Verse, but one of my hidden goals is to get that S off everybody else's chest.
Interesting.
I want a world where the only 2 people, I'm not going to say primates, but the only 2 people who have that crest on their chest are Superman and Supergirl. Too many people have that S, and being Superman should mean something.
Interesting.
Being Superman, you know what I mean? And I don't, but at the same, and this is also coming from a guy who knows you can never take Spider-Man away from Miles. It means,
of course,
it means too much to too many people. You can't be on such a Peter Parker high that you go, only Peter Parker should be Spider-Man. Miles is embedded. Miles is,
he earned it. Yeah.
He earned it. It's there, and should be that way forever.
Absolutely.
But like, I look at Lana Lang in that red and white Superwoman outfit called Superwoman. I'm like, no, you're Kryptonite Woman now. You're something else. I am getting that S the hell away from it. John, you don't want to be a Superman. You don't want to just follow in the footsteps of your dad. You want to be your own man. You're Tomorrow Man.
Was that a direction in designing Tomorrow Man's look, to take the S off?
Did not want I would take that S off everybody if I could. Freaking Streaky wouldn't even have that S on their cape. I want that S to belong to Superman.
I hear you.
But I understand you've got your favorites. And
sure,
as much as I go, I want it off everybody, I am then immediately put the shirt on Beppo. And I'm like, I will kill anyone who takes that shirt off Beppo. Beppo!
I understand.
And
I
Bibbo. Bibbo gets to keep it too.
well, that's fair. Bibbo, he's the ultimate Superman fan, so that's all right.
Bibbo and Beppo. That's it.
That's hilarious. Did you have a
Actually,
chance to talk to Ordway?
you know what? You know what? Take it off of Kal-El too. It's only on Bibbo and Beppo.
I also like in the event, Superboy Prime and Connor. First of all, their antagonism towards each other, and then working together as well, and that's really fun to see.
You better work together if Zod's there, or as Prime calls him, a 2-bit Terrence Stamp.
Yes. That's honestly that whole arc of making and again, another thing I want to talk to
Josh
about, obviously. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. That really is a lot of fun.
Making him the meta character is fantastic.
But also that he is trying to be a good guy. Finally.
No, after there's a point in me where I'm like, I get to go to DC and I get to write Superman. And then I'm like, I get to go to DC and I get to write the Superman satellite title. And I'm like, I get to go to DC and write the Superman satellite title in the world where Absolute Superman's coming out. And then I get to write Superman. And then I get to write Superman satellite title in the world where Absolute Superman's coming out. And they knock Superman out of space for 5 months. What just happened?
But the good news is you got this great story.
Exactly. That's why you can't be down. That's why you can't be the downer. That's why you have to look at every moment that it's not an obstacle, it's a challenge. And I, working with Lucas, had a blast on our Reign of the Superboy run.
Yeah.
With
Ultra Boy.
The Ultra Boy. He hates being called Ultra Boy.
I know he does, but I'll call him that for purposes of the story.
I also like how at the end John Kent goes all Daniel Day-Lewis and like, I will find you. Very last of the Mohicans.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, man.
I know there's no way that all the dimensions are down, but I'll find a way. I'll find a way to get to Earth 3.
Damn you, Superwoman. Yeah, no, it's great. It was and it was a great twist because you totally suckered us, man. We really thought we were getting John saving himself and trying to help himself.
I am so happy because I didn't sucker you all. There's the Superman. There's so many Superman fans who went day one and went, yeah, that's not John.
That's funny.
Yeah, they're guys that pegged it.
They got it right away.
Yeah. And as those guys kept circling the internet with every month, they're like, I told you. And their power grew and their followers grew. And so by the time we did it, I would say it was 50-50 that fans knew it was Ultra Boy or not, which is great. I remember watching, I was with some friends and we went and we saw Coco. And there's a reveal in Coco, 3/4 in, where you're like, they reveal that the guy Coco thinks of as his granddad isn't. That, oh my God, you're the villain. And oh my God, that character Hector you've been with, that's your granddad. And you poisoned him and blah, blah, blah. And they turn over the card. And the Pixar guys wrote that movie so masterfully that if you're a little kid and you're following it, you get ahead right before the card flip turns over. You put together all the pieces right before they do the reveal. And I saw this kid and his dad, and the kid is figuring out, and he's yanking his dad's shirt. He's like, and you could see his brain working, and he's like, he's the bad guy. That's the grandpa. He's the bad guy. And they do the kid flip, and that kid was the happiest kid in the world because they solved it before the movie. And they felt so clever, and they felt so good about themselves. They walked out of that movie feeling smarter, feeling, and they were so invested in the story. That made them even more invested in the story. They are in for it now, which is a different thing from I went and saw the movie Us with a different friend. We're watching Us, and you're almost still in the cold open. And I tap her on the shoulder and I go, wouldn't that be funny if that's the person from the alternate universe and they've already swapped right there in that scene? And for the whole movie, she was like, you ruined this movie for me. This sucks. I now know what the twist is. Like, I know, and they get to the twist and it's like, bravo. Because you figured it out 5 minutes in. That's the difference. If you figure it out halfway through, you figure it out later, then you're like, oh, I'm excited. I know where this is going. I wonder what's going to happen. That as long as you don't get the 90% of the people figuring it out, then you're okay. You're fine. I'll get there someday. I don't know how to, be as good as Pixar, other than following their 27 rules. There's like all these places online that have, here's how we tell a story and here's our rules. And there's like Pixar has this insane number of rules. And when you follow all of them, you get like every Pixar movie. It's like their super condensed version of Save the Cat. And the problem is you do that too often, it becomes a Mad Lib. And then you look at Dan Harmon and the guys from Community and Rick and Morty. They have this story circle method that they use, which is a super intense version of the hero's journey. But you can follow their pattern for how to tell a story. And then there's the guys from South Park who have like this golden rule of how to go from one scene to the next scene and have the story grow organically. And, someday I would like to do the story that meets all three. It's 27 rules of Pixar, the Dan Harmon story circle, and the South Park, if then, rules. Yeah. Anyway, just tell your damn story. Just have fun.
No, I understand. I wanted to ask you, as we're jonesing for Doctor Who and we're in our wilderness period right now. I gotta say, I'm intrigued by the Fugitive Doctor story that Titan is rolling out currently, and I'm glad.
That's that, like where they're doing it through multimedia and like
Yes,
everything. Oh my god, I don't, I don't have the time, and I'm a
I
Doctor Who fan.
understand. You're busy.
I don't have the time, man. I have enough time to watch Lanterns and Strange New Worlds and that President Curtis, Rick and
Yes,
Morty
the Rick and Morty
spinoff.
spinoff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What do you think?
Um,
Oh, and also, Dan, are you watching My Adventures with Superman, the manga, super or the
I
anime?
I fell off in season 2,
Okay,
so I
it's
feel
good.
I am going to get to it. There's like a whole. You're talking to a man who still hasn't watched The Shield or The Americans, and there's
No, I
so
got my
much.
shows like that. I have
There's
my
so
shows.
much on the list, and you're just like, eventually, there's going to be a day where, um, because I have a goal now. Uh, I, I people are like, when are you going to do creator own? When are you going to do a
Yes,
creator own book?
yes.
And I've had these ideas forever, and my problem is I live in a world where people let me write stories about the characters I loved ever since I was in footy pajamas, and of these characters, and own the lunch boxes and everything. And it's such a wish fulfillment that I get to write Spider-Man, I get to write Superman. Um, you throw Batman and Indiana Jones in there, and I'm screwed. Um, but there's only so much I can do. I am not Jeff Johns. I am not Brian Michael Bendis. I can't produce the amount of work they do. Um, but what I'm trying to do is, if I'm writing 2 books a month, I can plot a book 1 month, 1 week. I can script a book 1 week. That leaves me the fifth weeks. So this is the year where I've circled all the fifth weeks on the calendar, and I'm like, I am dedicating these fifth weeks to getting my creator owned stuff done. I just have to. One of them I felt so strongly about, and I had a meeting with Image, and they wanted to do it, and I got the artist lined up and everything, and I just time I couldn't. I couldn't carve the time out of my schedule and have a social life and sleep um, because of how fast I write. And I was paying the trademark on the character. And my agent was getting madder and madder at me because we would wait so long, we'd have to re-up. I would have to pull out of my pocket money to repay for the trademark. And now I have done this the maximum amount of times you can do it without producing anything. So
Wow.
this is the year fate is telling me if you don't do this year, you lose the trademark. And it's a good name. It's a good thing for what the property is. And I've had this one artist who I love working with waiting to do this. So this year, before I lose the rights, I am determined to get the first issue of this out. But once the first issue's out, you got to be ready to roll with the rest for the first 5-6 issue arc. So that's the goal this year. To happily be in my happy place and write my Spider-Man and write my Superman. That's nuts. Can I just say
No.
that's crazy that I get to do that. And then have the freedom to do this done and do this 6-issue arc of my property that I will co-create with this artist I like working with.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
No, again, really, I mean, you're showing the passion in both Spectacular and in Superman Unlimited. Definitely, man.
The other thing that's nuts about this year, John, is the space that would have gone to that creator own has gone to short stories. And I am proud. I'm proud of all of them.
Gross short stories or comic short stories?
They've gone to this one Bizarro story I'd always wanted to tell that ran in Superman Chains of Love. It's called Bill Zarro's World. I think it's the best script I turned into DC, period. It's about some kind of dimensional havoc happens where elements from Bizarro's world and our world are swapping places, and it's causing havoc. But Astro City, we don't see that. What we see is only one human got swapped, and we see what happened to that human. And it's this guy from Metropolis who has the world's shittiest life. His wife hates him. His children are dicks to him. The next door neighbor is always calling the HOA on him. And his dog's pissing in his yard, ruining his lawn that he's getting reported on. And his commute sucks. And his boss at the Daily Planet thinks he's a fucking moron. And everything's shit. And then he wakes up in Bizarro World. And even though everyone is like crystalline Frankenstein versions of themselves, it's awesome. His wife is like the best cook and doting on him, and his kid sees their hero, and the next door neighbor is mowing his lawn, and he gets in the bus that he hates, and there's only like 4 other people there. It's not crowded, and he's like, is this a massage chair? And the guy next to him is like, oh, me no, 5 shiatsu settings, it am worst. And he gets to work. He's like, it's a madhouse. I mean, there's a fire truck with square wheels and it's setting a building on fire. He's like, what? And a guy sneaks up behind him and puts a gun on him. And he goes, this am a holdup. And he's like, what? And he's like, take my money. And he's like shoving money. What is going on? And
that's awesome, man.
At work, his boss is like, you am genius. First one out, last one in, best employee me ever had. And it's just, his life's brilliant, and I'm not going to tell you what happens next. You
All
just
right,
gotta,
fair
you
enough.
gotta
Me, I'm
make,
happy.
but it's, yeah, this guy who, because names have meaning, especially with fifth dimensional energy and imps and whatever, his name is Bill Zorro. So of course he swaps places. William Zorro. And Bill Zorro's World. I fucking love that story. And then
I'm gonna look it up, man. I didn't read it. All right, I'm gonna check it out.
I did this short with Marcos Martin where we did Spider-Man Noir meets Superman, Golden Age
1938.
Superman.
Yep.
Ah, man, I all my life, like that Jerry Conway
Yeah.
crossover, Amazing Spider-Man meets Superman, that was like one of my top 3 books forever. And that was the dream, that like I would get to work on one of these. And I've never gotten to work on one. Finally got to work on one. I was like, oh, thank God. Like that's a weight that I
Can
got
I?
to
Can
do
I?
one.
We were talking last night off the air, and I want to, and I hope you're not embarrassed to tell the
Mm.
Jerry Conway story you told me regarding the Superman Spider-Man crossover, because that's a nice and I'm going to say it, everybody. It's a really
Mm.
nice compliment Jerry Conway said.
Yeah, Jerry Conway, he was asked, he didn't want to take part in the crossover. He's old, tired, and sick at the time. And I'm very sad we lost him. And
Yeah, man.
he he went on a podcast, and they asked him, well, who do you think should work on it? And he said, only 2 people. He said, Jim Lee should draw it and Dan Slott should write it.
Wow.
And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I talked to Jerry anyway. So I got to do that, and with Marcos Martin. And the next coming up, like I did the Zod short with Lucas. I'm doing this other Zod short with Rachel. But the other thing that's coming up is Amazing Spider-Man 1000. And this means the world to me. So I got to write 600, 700, and 800. And Nick Lowe was very nice, and he let me keep the streak going. And Marcos Martin and I did a 2-page story in Amazing Spider-Man 900. And now they've come up to 1000. And I've been sitting on a story. I sat on it for 8 years. I came up with this anniversary story, this little gem. And 2 years later, I ran it by Marcos Martin. So 6 years ago, I told it to Marcos. And he's like, that's really good. I'm like, would you do, if we got a chance to do that, would you do that? And he's like, yeah. And then I sat on it as other specials and things went by, because in my heart of hearts, it was an Amazing Spider-Man 1000 story. I wanted it in 1000. And I pitched it to Nick Lowe. And he's like, that's really good. And he said, yeah, we'll put that in 1000. So that's coming up September 30th. It's me and Marcos Martin, and it's 8 pages, but it is. I have rarely been prouder of anything else we've done in Spider-Man for the 12 to 14 years I've been working on Spider-Man. This is one of my absolute favorites. And I'm waiting for September 30th. I don't care if people hate it. I don't care if Zone out there like goes, this is the worst thing ever. I did it. I'm happy. It's done. It's finished. It's perfect. It's out. So I'm waiting for that to come out.
Well, Danny,
Yeah.
you've mastered the short story format, because truly, I always tell people, someone brought up Batman Adventures, and I always bring up my favorite little 6-pager that you did, or whatever it was, where we get the explanation of why Batman has the trophies in the Batcave and everything. And it was just so compact, but it told a great story and it had a purpose behind it. And yeah, man, no, you and I forget who drew it, but it
Ty
was excellent.
Templeton,
It
or
was Ty.
is either Ty or Rick Burchett. We did
Okay, right.
we did a whole bunch of with a run of Batman Adventures where I did it with Ty, We talked over both stories, and one of us would do the lead and one would do the backup for 4 issues, and then we'd switch. And we had dominion over our thing, but we knew what the other guy was doing. And that was a crucible. It was a melting pot because it was a very important time in my life because Ty held me to a standard because he'd won so many awards on those books, and he's a master. And he would be like, "What's your story? What's the story you're telling? How does this progress?" You can't just have a good page turn for 8 things and that's it. Even if you have a good punchline to your thing, you're not telling a joke, you're telling a story. What's the story? So that you kept doing this stuff. There's I for people who haven't read that Batman Robin story, the twist is he does it for Robin. He doesn't do it for himself. Batman's not about glory. If he could, he would have the most sterile bat room in the Bat Cave, just dedicated to fighting crime, and that's it. And he'd probably have Alfred just prepare that the Soylent paste that
For
programmers eat. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't eat a lobster thermidor or any of that shit. He's Batman. He's fighting crime. Taste buds, screw that. I'm fighting crime, man. So the whole reason he has this is it's to make Robin happy. It's Robin's trophy room. It's what he and Robin did. And Robin's the vainglorious kid who would take bows in center stage at the circus. So yeah, Robin needs this, and Batman understands that because he's secretly a great dad. So that's that story. Like there's one where we did a whole run where the Riddler had gone good, and Batman is leaving the Riddler the hell alone because Riddler's gone good, and he's proven to everyone how clever he is. That's a problem dealt with. Don't rock the boat. He's not committing crime, and you see this short story of Riddler's in line at a bank. He's got his big royalty check from the place he's working at. All he has to do is cash this check. And you've seen him on the way to the bank. He does 8 clever things. He's solving problems that are just out there, just instinctively, and putting everything together. And it's what Riddler is dealing with, being in a bank line, and time has gone to a crawl, and there's no problem for him to solve and no thing for him to do. And just looking at all the elements in the bank, he's figured out how to rob it. And he gets up to the person and sir, and he does his super clever thing, which gets that guard coughing and gets that one to trip and locks that door and does this thing and opens that vault. And he's so effing clever, and everyone's incapacitated. He doesn't need it, but he's the Riddler, and he's grabbed the bag and he opens the door to the vault, and all you see is Batman's fist with the little fringes going, just punching him in the head. Like Batman was ready for it. And then he snaps to, and he's still in the line. And he's like, "I will just like this, please. I am making a deposit." So it's 5 minutes of the Riddler's life. And he's staying good. He's staying good because Batman's fist can pop out anywhere and beat the shit out of you. And the stuff we did like that, where you boil it down to a short story, and I'd just be like, "Oh, this is almost more fun than doing the larger story."
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, you really boil it down to one idea. And
Dan, what years were those where you were doing that?
God almighty.
90s or
it's
early 2000s?
No, it's before
Before he went
This
back to
was
Marvel with
no,
the
no.
She-Hulk and
It's
the Thing and
this is
everything?
gonna sound horrible. It's before 9/11. It has to be before 9/11.
Okay, so yeah, it was probably like late 90s or
Yeah,
2000 or whatever. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Because I know how my career shifts. Like the moment 9/11, because it's like so many of us. When something big happens in
Oh
history,
yeah,
you reevaluate your life and what have I been doing and what are my friends doing and how are they
sure.
and how's my family and what do I need to be doing. So yeah.
Well,
Wow.
because I really felt like that run and also what Mark Miller did with Superman Adventures
Oh,
is
those
yeah, man. I mean,
Superman. Mark
it's so
Miller's
easy to
Superman was so good. They
yeah,
put
it's
out
so
two compendiums of that. Everyone needs to go out and
yes,
buy those.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. It's so easy to dismiss those because it's the cartoon and
It's the Bruce Timm art
and,
style, and
yeah,
it's in
and it's
another
like
universe. And
right, but no, you guys both, and Ty as well. Yeah, you guys just really wrote that. And Charlie Fish, I think, did he do his bit as
yeah,
well in Batman Adventures? No, they're great stories. They really are.
Mark Miller does this one story where Superman is dying, and there's this thing that could save him halfway around the world, and Lois Lane is on this adventure to get this plant that could make this medicine that can save Superman. And at one point in the adventure, she effectively ends up in like this fictional place that's kind of like Palestine and Israel, and there's two warring factions, and that flower is in no man's land. And she doesn't speak either language, but she takes a stick and she draws the Superman S shield. She points to that flower, and they all stop firing. Superman means this much to everyone that she gets to walk into no man's land and get that flower. And all she had to do was draw the S.
Yeah,
Um, I love that shit.
yeah.
But there's one issue, and you can find it from the cover of this. If you're only going to get one, and it's a thing of Superman standing arms akimbo, and it looks like he's standing on the 20th Century Fox logo, but instead it says 22 stories in a single bound, and it's a 22-page issue of one page Mark Miller one-page Superman stories. They are brilliant. So, and even if they're not, you go to the next one. So like you're just plowing through these 22 one-page stories. In the continuity of the cartoon, Mr. Mxyzptlk can appear every 90 days. So throughout these 22 page stories, every 90 days, Mr. Mxyzptlk shows up for a one-page story. And there's this one, and it's like the greatest Mr. Mxyzptlk story of all time. And Mark Miller does it in one page, where it's Superman's in the middle of a world's finest adventure with Batman, and it's your media and res. You're just in the middle of this adventure. It's reaching like a tipping point, and Mr. Mxyzptlk just pops in and goes, "It's 90 days. What merry games we shall all have! And are you ready?" And Batman just grabs Mr. Mxyzptlk, shoves his face, and goes, "Say it!" And he goes, "Kill Tim Cecil." Disappears. Like, Batman
No
ain't gonna
time for
put
your
up with this
bullshit,
shit.
Dixie.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, man.
Say it.
I like your fourth dimension character that shows up at the end of your
Yeah.
Ultra Boy, Superboy story.
Yeah, Master Tixius, who's Mr. Mxyzptlk is afraid of him. And John Kent's like, why? He's from the fourth dimension. And he's like, are you scared of a caveman? Are you scared of like are you more evolved than a caveman? You more, and he's like, yeah, yeah. Caveman comes after you, you're gonna be scared. Yeah. Like, okay, that's how you think of him.
That's
Um,
fantastic. Yeah.
uh, yeah, and he's the
It's
reason
like a
his name is
gremlin.
yeah, Lucas Meyer did an amazing design for him, and the reason his name is Tixias is when you plot something in time, you plot it along the x and y and the z axis gives you three dimensions. And you put that and you times it by t for time as the variable for time is how you get plot something in four dimensions. So he's Mr. Tixius. He's the fourth dimensional. He's not a fifth dimensional imp. He's a fourth dimensional demon, and he's that plotted space and point in time of everything of TXYZ.
That's cool. The kryptonite energy source story as well, playing through that continues to play through Superman Unlimited and the Zod event as well. Yeah, I don't. I mean, again, we're still mid story,
Yeah,
so I don't know if it's going to be resolved in Zod or if we're going to because you've got the Irons also trying to figure out the
looking for
difference.
a cure.
Yeah, and there's a difference between the kryptonite. What's the name of the country again, Dan?
El Caldero.
El Cardero.
It
So
is
there's a
the
difference between their kryptonite and traditional kryptonite,
Yes,
correct?
their kryptonite has a different half life. It came from outer space. It was surrounded by a thin sheet of inertium, which is it's like adamantium, but it only exists in the DC universe in the future in Legion time.
Oh my.
So an asteroid which has a different half life of kryptonite, which means it probably comes from the future. So someone shot a giant asteroid at Earth from the future. We've never explained how or why. So far, I'm not saying
All
anymore.
right, I understand. I understand. There was an
I'm not-
ellipsis after that. For the audio audience, there was an
I,
ellipsis after that.
I had Superior Spider-Man planned out from the first hint of it dropped in Amazing Spider-Man 600, and it didn't pay off till Amazing Spider-Man 698. I can play the slow game, the long game. I don't think Paul Kaminsky likes that. Like
Might we
when are we going to resolve that? How's that? Where's that from? What? Oh God! I'm like, oh no, Paul, I'm here for years.
Oh, that's interesting. I wondered if maybe Josh that was going to play into what Josh is doing with the Legion. And so
Well, no, it comes from at least the Legion's time period.
right. Oh, okay. And
It
there's
could
also
it could come from further down the
sure.
timeline.
Well, we saw in the annual, the 1 million annual. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting, interesting. Well, also that's why I really love where indeed. There you go. Dan is holding up the unlimited cover if you didn't see it, everybody. But the no, I love that Superman because of the events in the annual is not at full strength either. Currently in the Zod thing. So he needs the family to kind of help him out right now.
I'm not
Yep,
saying you're not getting any more
I
out of me
understand.
as Zod.
These are all my own observations as we're mid story. So
I have a terrible poker face, so I am
that's all right,
intrigued.
man.
Okay.
Well, the camera switches between us when we're talking.
Oh,
So
thank God.
Dan is being purposely silent as I'm giving my observations of what I've read so far. But no, it's exciting, man. And truly, it's great to see Superman in such good hands. All three of you, Wade, Williamson, and yourself. And who? Well, Sophie's doing Supergirl. Who else?
Yep. No,
Okay,
Sophie.
so yeah, Sophie's doing Supergirl, sure. And yes, and then Supergirl is great. Like I said, I hadn't read it. I read her chapter of Zod, and I'm like, all right, you got me interested. Good job. And I
Oh,
should talk to Sophie. Shame on me.
Sophie's playing a lot with some cool concepts with Candor and a lot of
Yeah.
Superman mythos.
And that reminds me, I wanted to ask you about the other thing that's playing out through the Zod event
Mm.
is we're getting this prologue of what happened to Zod
Ah,
after the destruction of New Candor to where he is now and everything.
that's most of that is from the Neil before Zod mini. And this is
Was that
Paul
Joe's book?
I can't remember, but it's Paul Kaminsky going out of
I
his
think
way to
that was
go,
Joe.
yeah, going, I'm going to give you everything you need to know about Zod. So it was very important to Paul that these segments lifted from Neil before Zod that you get that information. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I'm
Well, I'm
very
due to
much.
talk to Joe about the other stuff he's doing for all the other companies,
Mhm.
and we really never had a good Neil before Zod conversation. So I'm gonna have to
Neil
go back
before
and read
Zod.
that and do that.
Um, I I'm very lucky to be working with Paul because you know my my knowledge of Superman, what Superman means to me, is Superman through the ages, and Superman like from the movies and the cartoons, and as an icon. And it really helps that Paul and Mark Waid are like the keepers of the lore, and that I can ask them questions and I can make sure I'm not doing something someone's done before, or doing something in a new way. Um, there's only one thing, one tiny, teeny weeny, tiny little. It's so small, John. Um, piece of ooh, I've got with Paul. He will not let me say Great Scott. He thinks it's too corny, that Superman shouldn't say Great Scott. I have written Great Scott into so many scripts, and Dave Sharp, our letter, has lettered Great Scott so many times into word balloons. They're all gone by the time that book leaves. They are all excised. They are all no great. You can say Great Row. You can do all these things that are more Kryptonian, but no Great Scott. Too corny. Too
Boo.
just yeah. Too
Sorry, Paul. Boo.
I know. I'm like, I'm
All right.
blanking. I'm blanking, but like, yeah, I wanted to. My Superman could appear in a Capra movie when I
Sure.
imagine him,
Sure.
and that's not. I have to keep that to myself.
But am I right? Did you incorporated, it was in your chapter where Superman goes to the fortress
Mhm.
and encounters the AI that's running the fortress? Is that you, or is that maybe that might
No,
be all right, maybe I'm
I think
misremembering.
that's Josh.
All right, I'm sorry, everybody. All right.
No, but yeah, to me the funniest shit in the world is I didn't get to do. I've only done Great Scott once, and I had to go over to Marvel to do it in the Spider-Man Superman crossover. I had to go to Marvel to get
1938
Superman to
Superman
say
can do it there.
this is
Yeah.
but I think Paul would have let me have that because that's Superman in 1938. I think Paul would have let me have Superman in
Sure.
1938 say Great Scott. But he's totally cool, and I've done it like I don't know 3 times now. Had Perry White go Great Caesar's ghost. That's fine. He lets me
Okay.
get away with that as much as I want. But there you go. That is my only. Everything else 99.99999% fantastic editor, one of the best editors I've ever worked for in my entire life. Only bone of contention, Great Scott.
That's fair. Have you ever read the Tom DeHaven It's Superman novel?
No, what's that one?
Well, you know what's crazy? I think it's Graphic Audio did
Mm.
an audio adaptation of it, and somebody posted it on YouTube, and it's like over 4 hours long. But
Damn.
mentioning 1938 Superman, this really takes place like from, I would say, 36 to 38, and it's young Clark as his powers are starting to manifest and everything, and it's absolutely golden age continuity. And he meets another reporter. I mean, they don't call it the Daily Star, but
Right.
otherwise. And the guy kind of discovers this kid with powers and basically kind of helps him out and getting the suit. And well, you're gonna, you really should hide what you can do, and here's why. And also, you even see Clark working for like the Smallville newspaper as a kid
Mm.
and stuff like. It's very, very good. It really
Yeah.
is. And
I'm
I remember reading it years ago, but even this audio adaptation that you can find on YouTube, really, really good.
I'm all for it. Like the only thing, like it, because once I got the job, I deep dove back into one kind of re-watching and re-experiencing everything I knew and loved, like all my favorites. Oh my God, we have the mole men in issues.
Fantastic.
The mole men are running around in our world.
From George Reeves' first story
Yeah,
that was the pilot and became
yeah,
its own movie as well as The TV show. Yeah.
And if you you can read almost all of my issues, and there'll be a Christopher Reeve hidden, Easter egg somewhere from that movie, from the first Donner. Not the whole era, just the first movie.
That's fair.
That somewhere in there, someone will say a line or do a thing, and or drop a tiny Easter egg, because that's one of the greatest movies of all time.
Sure.
But one of the things I haven't been able to do, because there's so many Planet staff that they've established over the years. So many people, when they come on to Superman, they add their characters, and there's a lot of characters you can service.
Sure.
And I really wanted to introduce Sydney. Okay, from the "It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman the Musical."
Oh, yeah.
I
Was that
wanted
Linda Levins? Was that
it.
Linda Levins?
Yes.
Yeah.
You've got possibilities. Everyone go onto YouTube and do a quick search for "You've Got Possibilities," and it's the one banger song from that musical. All the rest are pretty garbage.
Pretty
But
garbage, yeah.
it's not good.
Do you remember watching that on ABC when they did it on a weeknight?
Loretta Swit and the guy who plays Al.
Leslie Ann Warren, wasn't she Lois? Wasn't Leslie Ann Warren?
Yes, Leslie Ann Warren. But Loretta Swit is Sydney. And
I thought it was Linda Levin. It wasn't?
No. I think Linda. No. Linda Lavin's the Broadway.
She did the stage. Yeah, okay.
She did the stage.
I forgot that it was Loretta. Yeah,
it was Loretta Swit in the TV special, and what's his name? He plays
Bob Holliday.
Kenneth Mars.
Oh, sure, Kenneth. I love Kenneth Mars.
Is in it, and Al Molinaro, the fruit play Al from Happy Days, is in it.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of guys in it, and you just go, "This is really bad."
It was really bad.
And this is coming from someone who saw Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark 5 times.
Roberto Aguirre Scarza thanks you. Yes.
The music in Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark is good, except for the one song where they call Peter Parker a pecker. That's not good, but it's really solid. Way to go, Bono and the Edge. And Roberto Aguirre Sacasa took a terrible, because I saw twice the original version and 3 times the 2.0 version. They let Roberto Aguirre Sacasa rewrite the entire book of the musical, change some lyrics. They added a song. The one thing he could not do was he couldn't create more sets. He couldn't create more characters, but he could subtract them. He could say you're out, or your role is diminished, or but he could not add more. He could only play with the pieces he had. And he built something that was 100% better than the original. He did the best he could, and I love him. It's
that was kind of a thankless job, because I know there were marching orders from Julie Taymor of things that had to be there, and that would drive the things that probably drove most traditional Spider-Man fans crazy.
The Arachne, goddess of the spiders, stayed in.
Yep.
But the number she had about women's shoes was cut. They put women's shoes on the spider goddess's 8 legs, and they tried to do a whole Moulin Rouge number about women's shoes in the middle of a Spider-Man musical. There's an opening where these goddesses are weaving the tapestry of life, and it's very Cirque du Soleil, and it looks amazing. But what the hell does it have to do with Spider-Man? But there's good in it. There is good in it, and in a nice coda, Reeve Carney, their Spider-Man, who is fantastic. And I can't remember the name of it's Page, the guy who played Green Goblin. They both go on together. They stay together, and they're the 2 leads in Hades Town. So they get their hit.
That's
God
cool.
Bless them.
Yeah.
They did the thankless job of injuring people all over the stage. I saw it 5 times and only saw 2 injuries.
Wow.
I count
Only.
myself lucky. Only
Yeah, only.
one.
Jesus.
Yeah, one where they Arachne, goddess of the spider. They're flying her around, and she's in this like segmented spider body, this enormous thing. They're flying her over the audience. They're swinging her around on all these things, and they knocked her into a one of the posts that hold the lights,
Ooh.
and they had to stop the show. They
Oh my God.
concussed her, and they lowered her down, and then they told everyone we'll be back up in like 10-15 minutes, give us some time. And they put a new goddess of the spider up there, and they pulled her back up, and then they went back. Show must go on. um
Yes.
at the end of the show from the bad version, um Peter Parker as Spider-Man, but in a weird kind of costume, that so his face is revealed so you can see the actor, is fighting for the sake of Mary Jane on a giant web, which is a rope web, against Arachne, the goddess of the spiders. And to help them move along the web, they had people like on the pulleys that helped them swing, pulling them up and down so they could more smoothly run along the rope web to fight each other. And that was the understudy and not Reeve Carney, and he missed, and they kept pulling, and they dragged him along the rope web
Oh.
along his face, and you could see he was getting a rope burn like on his face.
Oh.
You could see he was not happy. You could see that it hurt, that they screwed up, but they kept going. And at the end of but then comes the end of the play shortly after, where he's now, when you see the correct version, he's invigorated. He can be Peter Parker, he can be Spider-Man, he can be both, and he can save the day, and he's going to keep on going being Spider-Man, and yay. And he triumphantly, not in his normal Spider-Man costume, in that version where you can see his face so you can see the actor, swing all over the theater triumphantly. But this guy is kind of like, just get me home. I don't want to be here with my glowing red face from rope burn. Just let me, yay. Can we wrap up the applause? Uh,
Nice.
but
Did they ever bring?
I saw good versions. You can watch the whole thing on YouTube. People have
I was going
put
to
the whole,
say, okay.
see the good version. I saw um the good version of it like 3 times, and um where am I going with this? The first time when I saw the good version, it was the premiere, the actual premiere of the show, and they put me in one of the specialty booths, me and a friend of mine, Jenna, and we're in the like the cool booth, like in the olden days, like where you wanted to be at the opera, like hello, you can see me. Um, that was one of the special places where Spider-Man, at 2 parts of the show, one where he would land on it and take a quick breather and then like jump back off, and another one where he launches from that seat. So we're sitting there just like watching the show, but he has to do prep for this. So he runs into the booth without us seeing him. He kicks his feet up on the thing. He leans back and he's got a playbill, and he turns to us and goes, "Hey, what are we watching? Jersey Boys?" Like, and it's Spider-Man next to us. Then he got up and he did a special thing just for us. Like, if you're in that booth, he had like party poppers that shot webs. He shot webs at us, and we're like, this is amazing. Then he hooks up to his harness, and then he does the thing for the musical, and he swings off. That was cool. But there was only one other cool thing that happened that night, and that was like I got to host this red carpet event from the top of a double-decker bus that had Spider-Man on the side, and I was hosting it for everyone watching it online. Like, look at all the celebrities arriving at Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. Look, there's Cindy Crawford, and there's Steve Martin, and there's this person, and that person from Home Improvement, and blah blah blah. And one celebrity showed up that out celebritied every other celebrity, and that is this one celebrity shows up, it out celebrities every other celebrity. It is Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton
Wow.
shows up with Chelsea. And
Wow.
the minute he shows up, every celebrity wants to be near Bill Clinton. And I got to watch this from this also from inside from my little opera booth, I get to look at everybody trying to suck up to Bill Clinton. And he was so slick. He was so good. He ignores every celebrity and goes right to this area where all the servicemen were invited and goes down the road to every serviceman and thanks them for their service. And you just go, he's so good. And while he's doing, like, right before he did this, his back is turned. He doesn't see Jay-Z is coming up, and Jay-Z's trying to sidle up to Clinton. He's going to say something. And then Clinton starts heading towards you didn't see him. He's heading towards, and then like he has to crab walk back and pretend that didn't happen. And I was like, oh, Jay-Z, no. Okay. So I'm up in the funniest thing about this, and it's one of the greatest moments of my entire Spider-Man, like everything I've witnessed being the Spider-Man guy. The person who had the biggest, man crush, who had to be near Clinton, was Bono. Bono had to, it's like, and this is Bono's night. He and the Edge wrote all this music. They have front row center seats. Bono switched seats with Chelsea Clinton. So when you saw the show, the Edge is sitting next to Chelsea. And Bono and Bill Clinton are back over here in the Bill Clinton seats. So Bono could be next to Bill Clinton all night.
Hilarious.
And there's a moment where the Green Goblin and Spider-Man are fighting in midair, and they come swoop, and they're over the whole audience. It looks really cool. They use technology that they use to swing cameras into like the Super Bowl and shit to make these guys fly around the thing. So he's like flying it, and is this moment is I'm looking down, and there's Bill Clinton, and he's elbowing Bono and going like, look at that. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. That's excellent. Jesus Christ. Too far. Well, I'm going to have to look for that on YouTube. That's amazing, man.
That will
That's
not be on YouTube.
Well, not that part, but as far as the show being cool.
You can watch the whole thing. There are moments that there's no fixing. I'm sorry, Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa. There's moments where there's no fixing it. When they do the wrestling match where Spider-Man goes, I'm going to earn $100. They stick closer to the first movie than they do to Amazing Fantasy 15.
Bonesaw is ready.
So Bonesaw's in there. So, but the way they do it, they have a giant inflatable man. So the actor, it's like Bela Lugosi and the octopus in the Ed Wood movie. They have to do all the work to do the thing where they're body slamming him, and they had to have the inflatable man so Spider-Man could pick him over his head and spin him like a pizza. But all the moments where the Bonesaw is winning is just, it's painful to watch for the actor. You feel embarrassed for them. You just feel like they are making you do this in front of a crowd of people. I am so, so sorry, you poor, poor bastard. So there's that. And Uncle Ben gets hit by a car, and it's kind of like when he's killed, and it's like a cardboard cutout of a car.
Oh, boo.
And it feels like I am trying really hard not to laugh at Uncle Ben's death. And that's not what you should be feeling when Uncle Ben dies. The other thing they do is on one of like Spider-Man's first nights where he's swinging all over the place and catching villains and doing this and doing that. They do this special effect to show this building is on fire. And this woman screams, "No, my baby." And a giant, like 12-foot cardboard cutout baby comes from the ceiling, and a giant, like, two-dimensional Spider-Man hand comes up and catches it. I don't know what they were thinking, but that moment you're just like, what the hell am I watching? Especially if you're in the theater. So I can't imagine when you watch that on YouTube what that is going to feel like. You're like, it won't capture the grandeur of how large that fake baby is or that fake hand. You'll just have to imagine scale. And also, some of the bad guys are in really bad masks because it's all artsy in theater. And one of the muggers or bad guys, that mask should not be used because, oh my God, that mugger is black, and that is now the most racist mask in the world. Like, I know you're exaggerating the features of every character who's in the mask, but there should be that angel on your shoulder going, no, do not make this mask. This mask will be bad. This is horrible. And yet it's there on stage and Spider-Man is stopping him. The when Kurt Connors turns into the lizard, it erupts out of him as a giant inflatable lizard. So there's this like those inflatable dinosaurs costumes.
Sure.
But the part of him that was the human half, the top half of Kurt Connors, is still kind of stuck there, flapping around. And that doesn't look good. So that's what you have to look forward to.
Well, this is why they shouldn't make the Avengers musical that we were teased in one of the movies.
Oh no, they made it. They made it, man.
Oh, did they make did
Yeah.
they actually make a full
Yeah.
musical?
They
All right,
made
right.
Dude, they made Rogers the musical, and it played for a limited amount of time at Disneyland in
Hilarious.
the Avengers campus. And when it shut down, people were upset, and they were
Wow.
like, "Bring back Rogers the musical." And have been rare times where they've gone, "Okay, for a limited time, Rogers the musical is back up," and it has those songs in it from that you could see in the Hawkeye show. So yeah. On that happy note, I just want to wrap up and go.
Yeah, we could wrap.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
just go. Thank you again so much for supporting Spectacular Spider-Man, for putting it on your pull list. You made this happen. You've made me incredibly happy. You made Marcus Toe incredibly happy. We get to do this thing that we love, and we're gonna hopefully keep doing it. Please leave it on your pull list. Um, I don't know whether we've got the green light forever, but let's try to get this past 10 and 12. I would like to just keep plowing along. My only hope right now is that since we missed the catalog and there's a 1 month gap between 5 and 6, Marcus just turned in the first 5 or 6 pages of 6, and they're so gorgeous. I am sure that if we get these things, they're already inked. If we just get them colored and get them out to retailers ASAP and get them out so you could see the first 5 pages, you'll be like, well, I have to buy this book. This is awesome. But yeah, in the meantime, yeah, it's the book we're trying to make is the book that 8-year-old me would want to bicycle to 7-Eleven and pick off the spinner rack. That's the goal for me. It's that you buy it and you feel good about it, and don't worry about what the continuity is. We have these great 1-pagers that in a very cool graphic way show you here's everything you need to know. You will be brought up to speed. We will hold your hand and it will be magic, and you're just going to get some good, fun, grounded Spider-Man stories. No other dimensions, no going off into space, no mystical worlds. Spider-Man fighting bad guys and doing cool stuff.
And Dan gets to walk between the raindrops and revisit periods of the Spider-Man years and tell us untold stories. I think that's a great way to do Spectacular. Absolutely, man.
While building up a supporting cast and new villains and new heroes that will go through the years with us, and hopefully when we complete our world tour of famous, each one being like, here's 5 issues of this era, 5 issues of that. When we get up to present, you'll now have a cool alternate supporting cast of characters you know and love.
Plus, looking forward to the finish up of the House of Zod that we're getting right now in the Superman books, and Superman and Son as Superman and Tomorrow Man give us
Superman Unlimited.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, way to go, Dan. Once
Thanks,
again,
John.
and I'm glad because we had 50 minutes together in Connecticut, and
Yep.
we need a marathon. We need a marathon. So this was this scratches my itch, and I appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you for doing it, and thank you for the previous podcast that got the info out there to everybody. So thank you. Word Balloon. It's you promote your stuff on Word Balloon, and magical things happen.
As I like to say, the system works. When creators tell me I got so many more sales because I was on Word Balloon, I'm like, well, that's the effort that we try to do here, and Dan gets to benefit. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Houston, make sure you subscribe to the Word Balloon podcast, become a legal Word Balloon listener at patreon.com/wordballoon. I just going to tell you how to copy.